The biggest mistake people make when they're planning their week is going off a bottomless list of tasks and underestimating how long things are gonna take, not thinking about the resistance they're gonna feel trying to do that task, and overestimating how much time they have in a given week. What if your to-do list didn't have any due dates, was limited to just a few quality items that really move the needle, and you thought about everything else that was going on in your life? If that sounds appealing to you, I'm gonna demonstrate how I use my less but better framework to balance out productivity with my life and makes me feel less stress and makes me feel accomplished at the same time. What's up guys, my name is Irfan. After reading the book 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman, this book blew my mind, I've taken a different approach to my to-do list and planning for the week. And it really stems from someone like me who's kind of type A personality, who's sort of gone down the rabbit hole of productivity and getting stressed out about like getting shit done. And I've sort of developed a new framework, which I call less but better, and really takes a lot of the ideas that Oliver mentions in his book, instilling them and putting them into practice. But it's all about balancing getting shit done, thinking about your health, your social life, and just being easier on yourself and really thinking about how some of this stuff doesn't really matter and you need to really like live life in the moment but still get stuff done. So the framework is really about adding constraint. So when we think about how much we want to get done in a week, we totally overestimate it. So I'm gonna kind of show you how I plan my week and talk about how I pull things out that I want to do, but I know I won't be able to get done. And that will actually reduce the amount of stress in my week, and I'll actually get a chance to complete most of the things that I've set out to do. So rather than just talking about it, let me just jump into the video and show you my weekly planning and how I get it done using this philosophy and framework. So this is my weekly plan checklist, and I do this every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Not Sunday, because Sundays are the weekend and I wanna start my week off going through what I wanna get accomplished on Monday morning. So Mondays, not Sundays. So the app I'm using here, because I know people are gonna ask, is Todoist. It's a simple, elegant, very polished app. I've used Notion before for task management. I think Notion's fine. I think any Todoist app right now is pretty good. It's good enough. So don't worry about the app you're using. Just use something, pick something, and go with it. If you have trouble getting stuff done, it has nothing to do with the actual app you're using. It has everything to do with your resistance to getting stuff done and all the other stuff. So don't worry about the app, just pick something, but I'm using Todoist. This is a checklist that I go through in sequential order on Mondays. First thing I do is try to make sure that I look through everything I got done or didn't get done during the last week. And this is a really good time to really analyze why things didn't get done and tweak things. So sometimes you don't want to get something done because you're afraid of the task or you didn't put enough detail in the task. And that's important to kind of like think about and deeply reflect. So I think it's really important to look at everything that didn't get done, but also everything that was accomplished, and patting yourself on the back, because I think it's important. Sometimes we don't think about all the stuff we get done, especially people like us who are very like productive and are freaks about productivity. We need to really look at what we got done and understand like we get shit done. We really do. Well, let me just jump over here and show you what like my areas of my life are. So I think a lot of people break this down into different areas of their life when they think about their tasks. I keep it super simple. So I have personal tasks, and this is just like running your life, anything that isn't work related. And for me, that isn't like content creation related. So my YouTube channel is something that I have a dedicated project on, or area of my life, I guess you could call it. And then I have work. So I am a IO psychologist full-time. So that's my job. And I kind of like sequence that out. But really for me, the two segments of my life are personal and my YouTube projects. I have a blog and newsletter, but I don't really think about those because I've decided to neglect those things, and I'll talk more about that. So let me show you an example of what my personal life admin looks like so you can get an example of how I do it. So this is where I kind of come back to the idea of like a vertical bottomless list of tasks that people typically have, which is fine, but I have kind of changed my idea of what a good to-do list app looks like and the format of it. And maybe I should be using like Trello or Asana, but I find the Kanban view to be a lot more approachable, and I like the feeling of dragging things to the done column versus just checking things off. I know this is like highly controversial. Typically for Kanban, there's do, doing, and done. So doing is you're doing it right now, do is what you're gonna do next, and then done is what you got done. I have this tweaked, obviously. I have doing, which is what I'm doing for the week. So I'll drag something here, and that's something I'll be doing for the week. Done is once I've accomplished something, I will move it to the done column. I don't check it off. I like to have a stack of everything I got done so I can really look at like, what did I get done this week? I think it really makes it more fulfilling when you see everything you got done Monday morning. Be like, okay, I got some stuff done. So think about that. Don't just like check things off your to-do list, like drag them into the done column. The big part of less but better framework that I'm using is all about adding constraint to what you can get done. So the way I think about it, let me jump back to this checklist, is I first start off and think about what my week looks like, both for my personal calendar as well as my work calendar. If you don't have a calendar, or if you're not using a calendar, like that's pretty basic. So have a calendar, have like things you're gonna be doing in that week in terms of like social events, like exercise. Like I try to put all of that in my calendar. So I look at both my work calendar as well as my personal calendar. For whatever reason, I cannot sync my Outlook to Google Calendar. There's like restrictions involved. It's so dumb, but I have two different calendars I have to look at. But that's the first thing I look at. Like, how busy is my week? Is my work life like super stressful? If it is, then I need to kind of tone down on like writing a script for YouTube or filming. But you have to think about what is going on in your week before you sort of think about the tasks you want to accomplish. So that's the first thing I do. I also try to make sure, and this is kind of goes back to the balance, I want to schedule my workouts in. Working out is non-negotiable. So I try to make sure I get my runs in, I get my lifting sessions into my calendar, and I think about those things before I think about anything I'm gonna get done. Right now, I'm gonna be training for a half marathon in October and a 10K in the next month or so. So that's gonna take some time, and I know that's gonna take energy, suck energy away from me. That's gonna be could be gone to something that's productive. And then this is the important thing as an introvert, I try to schedule social things with friends and family and think about that, because I think this is where I'm flawed, that I go down the rabbit hole of productivity and I don't think about being social and hanging out with friends, because relationships are the most important aspect of your life. It's the quality of your relationships that determines the quality of your life. I think that's Esther Perel that said that, and I love that quote. So think about your social life, think about your family, think about making sure that you are checking that box. That's productivity to me. So then I will go and update my task board. So let me jump in here, go back to my personal task board here. So the constraint here I have is I limit this to 10 tasks per week. So the first question you're probably asking is, what is a task? And this is really important. So I have book Portland flight. To me, that's not really like a real difficult task for me. I'm just gonna look up a flight and book it. What I mean by task is anything that's anywhere from, I think for me, 25 to 90 minutes in length. And the things that are shorter are counted because sometimes those tasks are difficult. So think about how long it's gonna take you and how difficult it's gonna be for you to actually start it or get it done. Something that's gonna be like, take 10 minutes, it's gonna be routine. Don't put that in your limit, like you'll get those things done. So think about like hard, difficult tasks or things that are just gonna take a long time. So I know people with their to-do list like add like they're like doing laundry and stuff and cleaning. Like I don't do any of that stuff because I know that stuff will get done. It's not urgent and it's not important. So I don't waste my time adding those things into my to-do list. A typical week, I'll look through and see, okay, what do I wanna get done? And right now, this looks pretty standard for me, but race plan. So I'm creating a race plan for my training. So I wanna do that. I'll add things like, return stuff to Lowe's, book my flight. Those aren't really counted as like my 10 things. But if I go into my YouTube channel here, if I go into this task management video that I'm doing right now, you could see I have like video edit, film this video that I'm doing right now, finalize the script. Like those things are gonna take a while, and those are part of that 10 limit. So if I go back to personal, like if I create a living trust for my parents, which is like, it's been on my to-do list forever, like that's gonna take some time and I'm gonna add that. I just moved, so I have just a whole section here about, you know, organizing my closet, setting up my grill, like those things are gonna take some time. I guess I do have projects in my life area, my personal life area, but those are the things that I kind of set up. And I do have a recurring area here of like inbox zero and reset my iPhone and call my uncle and clean the bathroom, but I don't really focus too much on these. And this is the important part about the less but better framework. I used to worry about these stupid things here, and you need to figure out what you're gonna neglect in your life. You know, be productive, but have a balanced life. So there's whatever you're doing in your life, you're gonna neglect something. You know, that's gonna be exercise, that's gonna be relationships, that's gonna be cleaning, whatever that is. You need to actually be actively thinking about what you're not gonna worry about and let things slide. I think it's really important to proactively say, I'm not gonna do that. So for me, like a couple of months ago, I decided as much as I wanna like work on my blog and create a newsletter and be regular with my newsletter, I can't work on those things. I have like too much going on in my life with work and doing this YouTube channel. So I decided I'm not gonna do those things. I'm not gonna stress about them. Maybe I'll do them later on, maybe in 6 months or so. So I will go through, and then for the doing, I will add some certain tasks on here. I'll have some projects, and then I have a filter here in Todoist, which is cool. It actually knows these different labels, and once I drag something into doing, it automatically adds it to my limit, so that it tells me exactly what I need to get done during the week. So then I will schedule and update my task boards, see what I got done, make sure I limit it to 10 things. Again, this is a rule of thumb here. Don't, you know, hold yourself to exactly 10 things. Maybe it's 8 things for you, maybe it's 12 things for you. You gotta figure out what number works for you. But for me, 10 items actually works perfectly in terms of like putting like 3 items or so per day. 2 to 3 items per day is kind of my limit. And then I go through and update my content calendar, and then I create my daily plan. Now for my daily plan, I am a big fan of, I got this from Amazon. It's $8. It is a non-dated weekly planner. Hopefully you could see that. And you basically just have all the days, and you basically put down the tasks you're gonna perform. So then you can have this physical notepad here, and you could see what you're gonna be doing. So I like doing both digital and physical notebook on my tasks. And this really helps to kind of like jot things down. You know, your plan will always change. Things will move around. That's part of life. Just understand that. But I think planning is really important. I think it's Eisenhower who said planning is everything, plans are nothing, something like that, where I think planning is so important, because even if you get like 80% or 70% of things that you want to get done, it will make a huge difference. Now I do want to show you my calendar and what that looks like, because I'm really meticulous about my calendar and making sure that I have everything in here. So I like to do a week view for my Google Calendar. And you could see here, I go through this and make sure that I'm not taking on too much. I also have a work calendar, like I mentioned, but I make sure that I have my meals in here as well. That's important as well. I think sometimes people forget about that. Like cooking healthy meals is also important. Exercise, as you can see, I have my workouts in and my runs in here. And then I have a couple of concerts coming up. So that's something to think about. Like those evenings are gonna be for fun, social activities, and going to some live concerts. So that is important to think about. It's not just about productivity. So the final thing I want to mention is this idea that your to-do list or the way you plan and structure your approach to productivity is always going to be the same, and you can't make any tweaks. I think there's a balance. I think if you're switching like apps and approaches and strategies of how you're gonna get stuff done, that's probably not good if you're doing it like every month. Like you need to have like a process in place, whatever that process is that works for you. But I do think that with life, with who you are, everything's changing, things are evolving. The way you work is always going to be tweaking and changing, and that's okay. Like understand that, don't resist the fact that maybe you like doing something a little differently. Maybe you need to do your most important task later in the evening and not first thing in the morning. Like experiment, think about what works for you, and understand that that will also evolve and things will change. Something that may have worked for you doesn't work anymore because of life circumstances. You have a kid, you have a relationship, things like that. Like your productivity system needs to change because your life is changing all the time. So keep that in mind. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If this system here, this list is helpful, but it's been really working really well for me. I've been doing this for this entire year. So the year 2022 right now we're in, I've been doing this for like 18 weeks now, and it really helps me keep it fresh, but I don't go insane, which I've been doing before with productivity and being way too stressed out about getting stuff done. So I think this is a very balanced approach, less but better approach to productivity and planning your week.